Welcome to Monday Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Today I will be looking at the topic of families dealing with substance use. Oftentimes we look at substance use in isolation. My colleague Gia will be speaking more on the etiology and also how it affects the individual. But most of the time that's the angle that we take the issue of substance use. Today I'll be focusing more on a systemic view to see how families together can be enablers and also can help in the intervention strategies. It has been shown that worldwide 29 million people struggle with the issue of substance use. And also substance use have been seen to be one of the leading causes of mental health. Actually, substance use accounts to 50% of all mental health issues and problems. Also because of substance use, people who commit or want to commit suicide or who are successful in committing suicide, commit suicide successfully as a result of being intoxicated because of the impulsivity that comes around committing suicide. Now, when we look at that, in looking at those elevated rates of successful suicide or committing suicide in a successful way as a result of substance use, we can maybe look at, as I said, an individual versus family. When we look at this family structure and how substance use affects an individual and within the family, is the impact of it. It cannot be isolated from, firstly, financial difficulties, the stress that goes with having a family member who abuses substances, the health issues that also goes hand in hand with both the family that is impacted and also the individual who's using. We look also at conflict, the conflict within the family structure as a result of someone who's using substances. We look at alcohol, for example. When somebody is sober, they might be a very calm, a very collected person, cordial, courteous, and taking very good care of their family members. But once they become intoxicated, and this is how many people describe, they say this person becomes a monster. They become someone else. They kick doors, they fight, and which also heightens the issue of domestic violence. In most cases, the domestic violence is seen in the context of substance use. What do we see as the, prolonged impact? Sometimes because of the stigma surrounding substance use, the families are isolated, in that they feel like they are dealing with this issue on their own because maybe nobody understands them and they have been going up and down with this issue and not getting the right help that they are supposed to get. The access as well, it can make it difficult because to be rehabilitated, it takes a while. And, people might start to become impatient with the identified patient. And I say identified patient for a reason, because sometimes it's because of what is happening in the family system that the person who is abusing drugs or alcohol end up making, substance their escape to be able to deal with what is happening already within that system. I'm not saying this for people who are abusing or using substances as an excuse to say it's as a result of, especially where adults are involved. You can always get help to be able to get through that. So there's anxiety, there's stress. Anxiety around, we know, there's increased criminality and theft as a result of using substances, because when a person wants the next fix, where do they go? They go to their immediate environment, by maybe stealing jewelry or groceries or appliances so that they can sell it for their next fix. So then there's heightened anxiety on that, and even the safety of the substance user. Some parents, they sleep not knowing where their children are. They are only relieved when their children come back, sometimes after a week, sometimes after a month of going on binging trips or psychedelic trips. So this, it brings a lot of discomfort and a lot of dysfunction. And maybe the one that I also want to talk about as a long-lasting impact, it's also that one of denialism, especially in families that looks to be well together or put together, and especially where, the person who's abusing substances is using a less invasive substances that are not really prominent, and they cannot be seen. Things like heroin, where it does not smell as much as when somebody is using daha or nyaope. In that, I want to end off with what are some of the interventions that we can be looking at to help families in substance use. It's support. Support is very much needed. Yes, in your denialism, you might want to pretend as if, your family member or your loved one is not using, but facing the problem is actually half of the battle that is won. By denying, by avoiding, it does not help in any way. So social support, surrounding yourself with people that will be able to understand, seeking that help. Psychoeducation, such as the videos that we are presenting as well, to be knowledgeable of what are the signs of when someone is using substances, or even what are the causes of someone being addicted to substances. Family therapy sometimes might be needed, where we are not only taking the person that we are terming and labeling as an addict, but also us as a whole family to be able to look at what are the ways in which we are also contributing to the perpetuation of the problem. You might find that us as family members, we are either scapegoats, that is our role. We are either enablers. We are either heroes, which I will do this in a different video to unpack what are these different roles that I'm talking about, and obviously the substance user themselves. But the very important one is us, maybe as family members, being enablers to perpetuate this issue. So in that, there is no shame in seeking help, whether you are an individual that is using substances or you are within the family where you have been impacted by the stress and the isolation and the anxiety that comes with someone in your life that is using substances. With this, I hope this Kaftini from Monday Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists can be able to help you to open up a little bit of a window in discussing the substance use within the family structure and not in isolation with just the individual who is using. With that, thank you very much. Me signing out. See you next time.